Because if we cannot handle the stress and we are relying on anything other than our awareness, our consciousness to resolve that stress, it is not going to work. It is only going to make our life worse. The eating makes the body worse. The avoiding of stress and not finding a resolution for it makes our mind worse. So that is why we need to learn how to handle stress in constructive ways. This is precisely one of the reasons why I watch every satsang that my guru delivers, because in every satsang, he's giving positive life solutions based on awareness rather than external agents. Nithyananda. Welcome to the web series on Beyond Hunger. If you have been following my Facebook posts, today marks the 16th consecutive day of no food, no hunger. This has happened obviously after the direct blessing and intervention of my guru. So I wanted to talk about food addictions and revelations on what's happening precisely when we fall into food addictions. So today's topic is stress and overeating. Clearly, it's common knowledge that people tend to overeat under stress. But why exactly? What is the relationship between stress and eating? And how does it become such a strong addiction? Essentially, what is it about stress that converts food into a drug? So first, we need to understand what stress is and what it does to the body and particularly the brain. So if I have to define stress in one sentence, I'll say it is a fight between two opposing set of ideas in your brain. So essentially, the easiest example I can think of is, a young person who is infatuated with a person of other gender and, picking the flower petals. She loves me not. She loves me not. Maybe a bad example. But essentially, when two sets of opposing thoughts are scrambled in your brain, they're fighting, and you can't reach a conclusion, you are unable to find a resolution, that is what we call stress. Actually, it can be seen literally in your brain scan because multiple areas of your brain will be lighting up in a very haphazard fashion. So in a way, you can say that stress results in kind of a short-circuiting of the brain. And naturally, when all this is happening inside, all this enhanced, increased neural activity is happening, so much of the blood and oxygen flow has to be redirected to the brain, because obviously the brain is thinking, I need to resolve this issue one way or the other, so I need more energy. So it makes the intensity of your brain activity go up significantly. So if you are able to find a resolution, if you are able to find help, if you are able to find data points which help resolve the issue, good. But if you are not able to resolve, what happens? After a point, you just cannot take it anymore. Now, particularly if you don't know meditation, or if you don't know certain practices which can help you reduce stress, essentially all what you need now is some kind of an external agent to bring down your brain activity. And this is precisely the definition of drug. A drug is nothing but an external agent, chemical agent, which brings down your brain activity, gives you a sense of release. And it's common knowledge, when you're under stress, what's the easiest way? What's the most easiest available drug out there? It's food. Grab some snacks, put on Netflix, and say bye-bye to stress. But is that so? So let's think about it. What happens? What happens when you start putting food in your stomach? And most of the time we are overeating when we are under the influence of stress. So as soon as our stomach starts receiving the food, starts to fill up, now the body has different kind of signal. Now the body starts thinking, well, I need to digest this food, so I need more blood flow, oxygen flow there. So that blood which was being pumped into the brain because of stress is now redirected into the stomach and the gut for digestion. And this is precisely why we feel a sense of release. The problem is, we may feel a sense of release, but the conflict that gave rise to the stress has not been resolved. There's nothing being done about that conflict. So essentially what we've done is we've swapped a high stress, high activity state for a low, dull state. And that we call as stress release. Now, because of this, the solution of overeating only results in a very temporary effect. If I have to give an example, I would say, let's say you are walking down a forest at night and you're holding a torchlight, and the torchlight, you're pointing it forward, and suddenly you see a snake along the path. Now, any logical person, what they would do is they will use the torch and try to see if there's a way around the snake, or they will turn back from that point. Now, if we think of somebody, as soon as they see a snake, let's assume there's a person who reacts in this particular way. Let's say they see the same snake, but instead of finding a solution, they basically turn off their torchlight and just assume the snake has vanished. It's gone. Objectively speaking, how would you think about that person? You will simply think this person is not intelligent, because simply because his torchlight is off, he's assuming the snake is gone. The problem is we are precisely doing that when we are dealing with our stress by overeating. Because overeating is essentially dulling down our consciousness and awareness, which is equivalent to turning off the torchlight and forgetting about the stress, thinking that the conflict is no longer there. No. Next morning when you wake up, the conflict is there. It may have actually intensified. The problem, if you are not able to handle, if you're not putting your conscious attention, if you're not trying to find active solutions, it's not going to go away. It's just going to keep multiplying. So this is the problem with stress and overeating. Basically, in the end, you accomplish nothing. The temporary relief you might get because of an induced unconscious state does not help in the long run. It actually only creates more problems. So your equation only gets worse over time. And the more stress you feel the next day and the consecutive few days, the more tendency you're going to have to overeat. This is precisely why people get addicted to overeating under the influence of stress. So what's the solution? Again, in this video, I wanted to talk about, logically explain what the problem is, but quickly, one thing which should be obvious, we need to learn how to handle the stress. Because if we cannot handle the stress and we are relying on anything other than our awareness, our consciousness to resolve that stress, it is not going to work. It is only going to make our life worse. The eating makes the body worse. The avoiding of stress and not finding a resolution for it makes our mind worse. So that is why we need to learn how to handle stress in constructive ways. This is precisely one of the reasons why I watch every satsang that my guru delivers, because in every satsang, he's giving positive life solutions based on awareness rather than external agents. So just quickly, so how do we reverse this addiction? So next, let's say we are already addicted to overeating under stress. The next unresolved conflict enters our brain. What do? We have a tendency to just grab something and eat quickly, right? And go into a dull, unconscious state. So what do? How do we handle this? Well, the best thing we can do is replace that eating with some other activity, especially physical activity. I mean, you may decide to walk, you may decide to do breathing, whatever calms your mind down without putting any external agent into your body. And the good news is you don't need to do it too many times. Even if you do it successfully for 3 or 4 times, you will see that bad relationship you have developed between stress and overeating will actually start to come down, will actually disintegrate. Only if you try, obviously, you'll know. But being a person who's already done that, take my word for it. It looks extremely difficult, but it's not that difficult. Only that 3 or 4 times you need to have a little bit of willpower and consciousness to break that relationship. See you guys next time. Nithyananda.